Or what happened in that fourth quarter?
I believe it was a combination of both. They were able to, once they got ahead, to get into some really loaded formations and run the football. And we weren't able to get off the field at one point. You know, they popped one on a misalignment by us, and now they're able to continue to drive. And throughout the whole time, you know, we were hoping that we can get a chance to get the ball back
Right.
and give ourselves a chance to go score at the end. So, you know, the dynamics changed once it was 17-7. They wanted to shorten the game, and again, they made some plays. Obviously, they're a good football team, and we didn't.
How much does it hurt you losing Nico for the season now? I mean, he's a guy's a big hitter. I guess he gets everybody going.
He's a big part of what we do. Obviously, but now it's a great opportunity for a lot of our guys on the back end to really step up, and that's the key. If you want to talk about, you know, playing championship defense, a lot of that is developing depth. And you know, you got to have those guys. I believe some of our backers maybe played every snap. You got to get those guys in there who can come in and spell you and get those 20 snaps a game.
How do you feel about your depth in the secondary at corner and at safety, especially without Nico? It seems like you've tried to play a lot of guys, a lot of snaps before this ball game, and you're going to need them a lot this week.
I believe that's been the strength of our defense. And one thing we do have is we have a lot of guys who've played a lot of reps and played a lot of SEC football games. And besides that, we also got some young, talented guys. You look at Darius Slade, you look at Jameson Love, you look at Jay Hughes. We've got a good talent pool back there. The biggest thing is now that it's game 11. You know, those guys really need to show up and be an integral part of this deal.
When you look at that Arkansas offense and the way they pass the ball, you know, bringing a new quarterback, don't miss a beat. How much of it is just talent? How much of it is the system, or is it just a
combination of both?
Yeah.
They're prolific. Obviously, Wilson's a really good quarterback. You know, obviously, hate to see him lose their running back. You know, but that made him obviously dynamic. But with 33 and 20, they really haven't dropped off much. They've got a great system, and when you combine that with great skill, I really think they have elite skill. You know, on the perimeter at the quarterback and wide receiver position, it makes you cover the whole field vertically and horizontally, and then you mix that in with the big backs that they have and the way they can create gap problems for you. You know, they're pretty good.
How much different is that, you know, preparing for where you go against an LSU and Alabama, the other top two teams in the SEC, and they're going to power it at you and do some play action where Arkansas just like to throw the ball quite a bit?
Well, you know, obviously, you know, people there's a little bit of misconception out there that they don't want to run the football. They really do. They take what you give them. They'll count the box and they'll look and see if they can run the football. And if they feel like they get numbers, they'll run it at you. If they feel like you're stacking the box, they'll work you on the perimeter with their skill. And they use their quick game as a big part of their run game. So they just raise up and throw to number 4 and number 3, and it's 2nd and 4.
You guys have talked about the secondary being the strength, most veteran group on your team, and this week I would be sure it's probably the biggest test they're going to have all season. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really going to test strength versus strength for those two the offense and defense. Don't you think?
Well, you know, we say that, but I believe in comparison. Obviously, they're the number 1 offense in our league, but you know, Georgia's right there, South Carolina's right there, and they're very comparable to those two teams that we faced. And then you look at a Kentucky team who's really, you know, who put points up. But when you look at the two teams that we've played that are in comparison, Georgia and South Carolina, very, very similar in regards to elite skills and having quarterbacks that can really make plays for them.
You guys have to look forward, though, to getting to face these top types of offense, like you mentioned, Georgia and everything.
It's why you play.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think, you know, anyone who's here didn't choose the SEC to play in these big ball games. And when you look, we've had the opportunity to play number 1, number 3, and I believe we're 5 now, 6. You know, it gets no better. Obviously, the key for us is to play at a level and execute at a level well enough where you win the game, and that's what we chase every weekend.
I know y'all have a high standard for the label playmaker, but do you feel like you're starting to get those guys at every spot on defense?
I believe so. I mean, you just look at the numbers, and I try not to be a big stats guy, but you look at the statistics. 2 of the top leading tacklers in the SEC at that position, 2 of the top defensive linemen at that position, 2 of the top safeties and interceptions and tackles in the country, and those aren't just SEC. You know, those are some of the top number getters in the country. So you like it, but the key is what we talked about earlier. all the teams that we play have a great 11.
Yeah.
It's what you do from 11 down. How's your 22? And then to me, that's when you really become an elite defense.